Thank you. Thank you. What have I gotten myself into? What have I gotten myself into? You know that feeling? You know that feeling? It's the feeling you get when you take on a challenge which at the start seems way too big for you. It's like, you know, after the Christmas holidays, you've gained some weight, you start running in January, you know, and after 1 kilometer, you're like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? Or it's that IKEA cupboard you want to piece together on your own, and the manual said you need 2 people to put it together. See it falling apart. What have I gotten myself into? Now, I can get that feeling, and I had that feeling last week, walking back from my local supermarket. Oh, sorry. Walking back from my local supermarket. Now, you might think I'm a bit weird by telling you this, but I get that feeling when I walk down the street and I see plastic bottles, plastic bags, candy wrappers laying out in the street. We are plasticizing our earth. We are plasticizing our earth. Now, I know there's been this great surge in awareness around plastic pollution. We all know the harms and effects. We have all these cleanups going on everywhere. But does it change anything? Did you realize by actually helping, we might be helping those companies putting out that plastic on the market in the first place? We are aiding them. We are keeping them in the shadows by cleaning up. They don't have to change as long as we clean up. That's what I'm thinking about when I walk down the streets and I see that plastic litter laying there. And I think to myself, I've been working on fighting plastic pollution for the last few years. But despite all my effort, is it worth it? What have I gotten myself into? My name is Marijn Tinga. I'm the plastic soup surfer. And I build boards from plastic waste, and I use those boards for expeditions and campaigns. Now, I've been surfing since I was 8 years old, and 6 years ago, I built my first board from plastic waste, which was washed up on the beach of my local surf beach, and I built this board. And it was about awareness, this project. I surfed that board 350 kilometers down the Dutch coast. 350 kilometers. And something happened those 3 days of surfing. I started off as a surfer, making a statement on a board made from plastic waste, and I got off 3 days later as an activist, as the plastic soup surfer. 2 years later, I built this board. A board made with 60 plastic bottles. Did you know these like half-a-liter plastic bottles are littered in the Netherlands up to 35 million each year? 35 million of these small plastic bottles littered every year, which is 100,000 in our streets, in our parks, in our waterways. 100,000 each day. When? Well, there's a solution to this, to stop this littering. And it's called bottle deposits. Bottle deposits. You pay a little extra when you get your bottle, 15 cents, and then you return it to the store, you get your 15 cents back. Has nothing to do with awareness. You just want your money back. 15 cents, I want my money back. I think it's a great idea. So I built this board. And on that board, I surfed from Scheveningen all the way to England, 200 kilometers, a record attempt. But I did not do that because I wanted a line in the Guinness Book of World Records. I did that because I wanted deposits on these small plastic bottles. And this was the kickoff to a petition which asked deposits. And I got 55,000 signatures because of that kickoff to that campaign. And for those wondering, I never got that line in the Guinness Book of World Records. I did get that what did I get myself into moment, somewhere in the middle of the North Sea. And we did manage to get to the other side, as you just saw, but it was very different from than we had planned. Now, fast forward a few months. Oh, one back, yeah. Fast forward, I'm in my car. I've got a small red car, got it with me now. 55,000 sugar hearts in the trunk, filled, stacked. And the smell of these sugar hearts is penetrating the car, and I have to actually roll down the window. Well, actually buzz down the window. But anyway, I have to roll it down because it's just so penetrating. And even though it's very cold outside, it's February, it's Valentine's Day, I have to roll down the window. And I'm bringing these 55,000 sugar hearts to Parliament, to The Hague. 55,000 big heaps, and I'm going to give them to the politicians over there. And this is basic psychology. If you give something, you're more likely to get something back. So I'm giving them these sugar hearts. And what do I want from these politicians? I want their signature. So I've written my own resolution, just same formal language they do, same formal language. And it has a promise. It says, we 55,000 people want you to commit to 90% less littered plastic bottles. 90% less littered plastic bottles. Doesn't say deposits, right? But everybody knows 90% less littered bottles can only be achieved by deposits. And something amazing happens. All these politicians sign my resolution. 2 days later, there's a big meeting, and my resolution, which is then called the Plastic Soup Surfer Resolution, is actually adopted without vote. And then, after that, it is used for policy in the Netherlands, which will see deposits on these small plastic bottles. Next year, July. That's what happened. And I've had that, what do I get myself into moment very, very often. I'll show you. I've just done my first hour. What can I say? Well, what have I gotten myself into? That's what I'm thinking. So this wasn't my first, this wasn't my first, and it wasn't my last, what have I gotten myself into moment. Like I showed you, I've surfed all the entire Dutch coast, 350 kilometers, didn't finish that. I paddled down the entire River Rhine, that was the start of that. I did finish that, did get that, what did I get myself into moment. I built a surfboard, a 3D printed, first in the world, 3D printed windsurf board from recycled plastic in 2018, and windsurfed that from France back, didn't make that either. So I know those moments of what did I get myself into. After that, we used bailiffs, gerechtsdeurwaarders, to go up to, oh sorry, I've missed one video. So this is me paddling down the entire River Rhine, 1,000 kilometers. We used that attention to go up to the CEOs of companies like Heineken and Coca-Cola. I used bailiffs, gerechtsdeurwaarders, to go up to them. We developed judicial instruments like the formal notice to offer to them. We, together with a very famous litter picker here in the Netherlands, we went up to sweets wrappers, sweet companies like Antaflu, and we had them change their wrappers from plastic to wax paper. Just last winter, we had the entire Dutch retail and wholesale stop and recall all plastics, all fireworks with plastics. And it's being discussed in Brussels at the moment. Just last week, we had the entire retail ban water balloons and plastic confetti, just last week. And you might think, I don't blame you for thinking maybe these are very small steps if you're talking about plastic pollution in the global scale. And they are small steps, but they are big steps in the heads of the CEOs. This is stopping plastic pollution at the source. These CEOs, these people in charge, they are making different decisions. Because awareness, yes, of course, it's important, but I'll tell you why it's important, awareness. Awareness is important to increase societal pressure. Awareness is important to have CEOs and politicians get the feeling that the measures they take are popular. That's why awareness is important. But awareness as such, it isn't. It doesn't change a thing. Sorry. Because why? Because we are stuck. We are stuck in a throwaway society. Plastic is the catalyst to this throwaway society. Plastic is always the easiest, cheapest choice. If you leave it up to the consumer, they will always choose the easiest and the cheapest choice. You leave it to the responsibility of the consumer, things don't change. Just think about COVID as a parallel. What we need to do is we need to focus, we need to unite, and we need to change those in charge. In my last project, I just came back from paddling down the Netherlands from Maastricht to Schiermonnikoog, 550 kilometers, and I visited all these schools, and I asked these schools, all these pupils in the classrooms to go to their mayors, to the local mayors, and ask him for separate plastic waste collection in their classrooms. And I hope by doing so that these kids, these pupils, will get that experience of talking to somebody in charge and having them change. So what happens when you talk to those in charge? What happens? Well, there's this world-famous civil rights activist, Mahatma Gandhi. You probably know him. And he taught us, they will ignore you. They will laugh at you. They will fight you, right? And there's this unknown Dutch activist who says, you will get that, what have I gotten myself into moment afterwards. So how do you fight that? How do you get the strength to carry on? How do you make sure that frustration and anger doesn't burn you out? For me, and I guess it's for everybody, it's about staying positive. It's about having fun. For me, that's surfing. I always feel privileged when I'm on my surfboard and I have my team around me helping me out. I feel privileged that I can be there. I feel privileged because I love the physical challenge. I love creating, brainstorming with them around our next campaigns. But what really keeps me going is the support of so many. The feeling that we are making a change. That is my real drive, my real goal. Now, I mean, I hear you. You're probably saying, well, Marijn, we can't all be full-time activists. What can I do? What can I do? And I hear you. I guess, what can I do? Well, the default, of course, and I don't have to explain that, you know, using your own, no littering, not using or taking your own bags, taking reusable cups, that's the default. You all know that. But I'm asking you to take that next step. Send that email to that supermarket manager. Keep it fun, but send that email. Sign that petition. Vote green. Share that Facebook event, but also go to that Facebook event. Go to that beach cleanup, because cleaning up is important. But make sure that the result, you show that to those in charge. Because we need to change those in charge. To really stop plastic pollution, we need to change our throwaway society. And they will ignore you. They will laugh at you. They'll fight you. You'll get that, what did I get myself into moment. And you'll find the strength to carry on by working together, by uniting. And only that way, we will and we can change those in charge. Thank you.